Okay, this is the November 8th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. It's a regular meeting. Let's have the commissioners introduce themselves, starting over here.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Mel Roop. Nice to see you folks here.
Jared Nanke.
Ted Gambogi.
Ken Mabarak.
Terry Marshall.
I'm George Sheets, the chair. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the October 11th meeting minutes. Do I have a motion? Everybody looked them over?
I so move.
Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion, edits? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Now, we have two councilmen here, Phil Good and Jim Lamerson, our Planning and Zoning Commission liaison, so welcome. Yeah, and Darla Eastman is our recorder and administrator and everything else we do. Thank you. So who's going to present the item number 2, the preliminary plat of the third gen site? Okay, Katie?
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Katie Peterson, Community Planner with Community Development Department. So this is regarding PLN 18-022, the proposed preliminary plat for the third gen Liberator site. This is a site currently not within the city of Prescott. There's an annexation and rezone pending. So I'll go over the site location, quick background, and then we can go over the preliminary plat and relevant land development code regulations. So this is the general area location map for the site. This is east of the airport and then the northeast portion of the city, just northeast of city of Prescott. Looking closer at the site, you'll see there's an adjacent city of Prescott owned site, so the annexation is actually a joint application. So I've shown the whole site for the development here just for reference purposes, but we're talking about, as you see in the lower left there, the third gen site. And in the staff report, I noticed on the agenda item there was a typo in the APN number, so the correct APN number is 103-01-028C for the third gen site. This is just east of Corsair Avenue. The two roads currently that abut this current site and that will provide access are Liberator Drive and Center Forest Drive, which intersect with Corsair. And along the left there, sort of aligned with Corsair Avenue, I've just noted that's the Peavine Trail, which is City of Prescott right-of-way. And as background, again, there is a proposed annexation and rezone in process, city and private joint application. On May 10th of this year, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of that proposed annexation with the initial zoning from county to city zoning, and then the rezone to the industrial zone that would allow for the proposed use that's coming. This is regarding the proposed subdivision, which would be effective upon the adoption and effective dates of the annexation and rezoning. What they're proposing is 13 lots, subdivision of this portion of the site, this lot, into 13 lots. Again, the site access, a lot of this subdivision is about the public works improvements that they'll be doing for the site. For the use that's proposed, the industrial use as a contractor's yard. So it's really mostly about site access, circulation, and the other public works infrastructure that they'll need for the site. the two access roads, once we look at the preliminary plat, and if you look at the map, are from Liberator Drive and Center Force Drive down at the southwest end of the site. And then I can pull up a map to look more closely. What you'll see here are the two access roads, and then this is the key circulation road through their site. I can pull up a closer map after we go over the overview. But generally, the relevant required standards by the Land Development Code, the staff report references code sections more specifically, but the proposed zoning that's going to be alongside that annexation is industrial general. The standards that are within that section of the code are maximum building height of 50 feet, minimum setbacks of 25 feet in the front and rear each, and then 15 feet on the sides. So those details would be reviewed upon submittal of any building permits on the site. The preliminary plat, again, the general land split standards are from Section 7 of the code, really address site access, as I mentioned, Liberator Drive and Center Force Drive, site circulation via what's referred to as Road 1 on the preliminary plat map. That's the road that connects directly to Liberator Drive and Center Force Drive. It also provides direct access to all 13 lots. So there are no flag lots. They all front directly on Road 1. This proposal does meet the minimum cul-de-sac and right-of-way radii. It provides locations and dimensions of the lots, easements for water, sewer, utility, ingress, egress easements for both the proposed and future lots, which are noted on that preliminary plat map. The zoning change proposed is consistent with the general plan land use, actually, and it's also consistent with the circulation element of the general plan, which addresses generally adequate access and connectivity. There is a development agreement which will be addressed at City Council along with the Water Services Agreement. Those address the relevant details, including also responsibility for payment of installation costs. And the recommendation today, the motion would be to recommend approval of this PLN 18-022 pending approval of the proposed annexation with the equivalent city zoning and then the rezoning to industrial general. So I can put up the plat map and can zoom in on any section we want to look at more closely. We can answer questions. The applicant is present, and also engineering staff are available here as well to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Katie. Those are good graphics up there. I appreciate that. When I visited the site, I saw the sign that was at the entrance off of Liberator that referred to the trail. And I was going to ask you a question about that, but you answered it very well with the new graphic you had up. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Katie, how large is the site in total acreage? Sorry.
Let's see.
It says 72 acres. Isn't it? I think it was 72. I thought that was in the summary of our.
Thought I had it in the staff report as well. 72.9 acres for the whole site. So there's one larger parcel, which would be the headquarters for the proposed contracting. The contracting headquarters here.
So outside of the lots that are designated, there's 47 acres left for the main.
Actually, I'm not sure.
Well,
41.
41.
Yeah, lot 12 is the fan headquarters, I believe, and
Correct,
that's
for the whole
41
site.
acres.
City site.
Okay.
66 for the third gen site and 41.
Okay, maybe I'll let you. The applicant's here to kind of explain the breakdown
Yeah,
of their
okay,
plans.
yeah.
I bet he can answer that
Welcome,
question.
Jason.
My
Yeah.
leg was twitching to answer the question. It felt like
Please, if you
a pop
get-
quiz. I was
Give
excited.
your name, and for those that don't know you, everybody knows you probably, but
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Jason Fan, owner of the Third Gen LLC entity that owns the property. To answer your question, the 72 is the combined annexation, which includes the city-owned property around the treatment facility. The Third Gen site as a whole is around 66 acres, and the balance of the acreage that will be left to Fan Contracting's anchor site will be the 41 acres. So the 12 commercial sites range from 1, 2, and 3 acres for future sale.
Okay, thank you.
commissioners, any other questions? When you mentioned the Peavine Trail, the old railroad bed is, I believe you have easements across those. That's there's little usage of that section, and the city is doing the Chino Valley connection on the other side of the creek, and as I understand, it's all natural open space zoning between this property and then the connection to Chino. So would it make sense to have an easement of some kind that you could have connectivity over to the road to Chino Valley, which also runs down to the fan development at Granite Dells Estates?
Yeah, I think the current easement, they'll cross the new road at Center Force and Liberator as it connects into the public right-of-way. Of course, that portion will be public right-of-way anyways, not needing an easement. I do know there's some discussion about detouring the Peavine to the east.
Yeah, that's in the
And
pro-
so as that develops, yeah, we're certainly open to talking about, if that needs to cross the property in an unusable area. I don't see that being an issue. So I'm definitely
Yeah,
open to
there's
staff
getting to be a
talking
lot of
about that.
residential development on all sides of the 89A and things, so, it would be consistent with what we're doing elsewhere. But, so that would be open. I don't know whether anything would need to be in the development agreement or something in terms of possibility of access at a later date, or...
Yeah, I think we're close on the development agreement. I'm definitely, even outside of that, just open to talking with staff as those plans develop for what that ultimate route is going to be. And if it traverses over the eastern edge of the property, I don't see that being a problem. I do know that there was discussion it being even further to the east of that. So, yeah, we can certainly, I'd be happy to discuss with staff
Yeah.
what those intentions are.
Yeah, okay. Do we need any kind of, George, do we need any kind of recording of that, or are we just have a general understanding here? You think just our general understanding that a possible connection is not an issue at some point? Okay. I have a question regarding the roadways themselves. I noticed that that's not one of the standard public works engineering standards in terms of the road cross-section. Is this something that's an issue with public works, or, the width of the road and the different access along there?
Chairman Sheets and members of the commission, I'm Gwen Rowich with Public Works Department. This is an extension of Corsair Avenue and Air Park subdivision, so it's an extension off of that. We have the ability under the general engineering standards to grant an alteration and modification to the standard so that we don't have a road width and then a different road width. And we'll be looking at those plans as the project progresses a little bit further. And if that's acceptable and still moves traffic in a good circulation pattern, then that's something that we'll grant to the applicant.
Yeah. What about sidewalks? Is that, it doesn't show that on this plan? And whereas the east industrial site in the airport east, does have a different standard in there that is different than this.
We did go through the alterations modifications process, and that did get approved in its proposed configuration as you're seeing it. And that was primarily because when we did a site visit with the engineering team on the existing Liberator and the existing Center Force Drive, it matches that road width exactly, both in width and not having sidewalk. What we didn't want to do is have improvements, as Gwen had mentioned, with a wider road or a sidewalk that went to nowhere. And so we just essentially matched the existing configuration that was out there.
Okay, so I guess that's the answer there.
The answer,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Are there any other questions?
No, will you be paving Larry Caldwell from 89A? Because that's a terrible road, and you guys know how to pave.
We would love to pave that for you.
Thank you. He's on record.
I think I can expand
got
on
that,
that a little
Darla?
bit more for you, Mr. Maverick.
That'd be great. Thank
Yeah,
you. Because
the,
it is a terrible, you know.
It's in a
I
horrible
love this
condition, right?
Yeah, no, well, it wouldn't be from me, but I love the air park. I think it's a valuable asset for the city, and our entrance into that air park, the businesses, is just dismal.
Yes, so the city recently received an economic incentives grant from Arizona Department of Transportation. And with those monies, we're going to be extending Corsair Avenue South and tying into Wilkinson Drive with a roundabout. The city is currently under design to improve or to build that extension of Corsair Avenue. And as part of that, we're going to reconstruct the portions of Wilkinson Avenue that are in poor condition today. So we should be completing that design sometime in the spring of 2019 and then going out to bid sometime next summer to build that Corsair extension as well as the improvements to Wilkinson.
Yeah,
I feel very powerful.
that'll be a shortcut. That will be the shortcut over to this property from the south, won't it, when Corsair gets extended? And that would be the primary way rather than going up by the fire department up there. Yeah.
I have a little map here that I brought just in case this came up. So this right here is Corsair today, which ends right about here. And we will
Where's
be-
the APS building?
Of course, you had to ask me a question. I'm not sure where the APS building, does anybody know?
It should be right about in that area.
Commissioner, it's just at the end of Corsair. You see where it terminates and the blue starts.
Okay,
It's
right in there.
it's in that area to the yeah. So what did I do?
Working?
There we are.
Oh, there we go.
I think it's
Those
right
two.
right in here. Yep.
Thank
Okay.
you. I'm
Yep.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yep, no worries. So currently today, Corsair Avenue ends about right here. So we'll be extending Corsair Avenue down and across over to Wilkinson, where we'll be building a roundabout in order to facilitate the movement of large vehicular traffic in this area.
Thank you.
Will that come out just right at the golf maintenance shed there?
It hasn't been fully designed yet, so I can't tell you the exact location, but somewhere in that area.
Yeah, because you have Perkins Drive that was
Mm-hmm.
closed when when that south course was built. That no longer, there is no connectivity between either side of the airport. And yeah.
We'll see as that project progresses where we ultimately come out.
Okay, any members of the public want to come up and address this situation? No? Okay, we can take a motion for this. We can vote on this, can't we? Yep. Okay, there, at the end of our packet, there's a recommended action that it looks like it pretty much covers what we're talking about, so. One of the commissioners want to make this motion?
Go ahead.
I move to recommend approval of PLN 18-022 pending approval of proposed annexation with equivalent city zoning and rezoning.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and no opposed, okay, motion passes unanimously. Any further business here? Bren, do you have anything from community development?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. One little update, we're going to continue our process of integrating and working more closely with the contracting community. We'll be having a contractors outreach meeting on December the 5th from 11 to 1. We're firming up the location. We had one location that was secured, but we had to change our plans. So we're working on confirming that location, and that's just basically some public information for folks that are here and interested in staff's interaction with the contracting community.
Okay, so this is not the 2018 building code project?
No, we
That's
will
different.
be mentioning the process that we'll be engaged in going forward in early 2019. We'll be working as a collaborative effort across all jurisdictions, Yavapai County, City of Prescott, Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, Dewey Humboldt. And so we will be outlining that at the contractors meeting. Lunch will be provided for folks that attend, and any of you all are, if you're interested, are welcome as well.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? No, George, okay. Yes.
Bryn, is there any update on the Unified Development Code signing?
That is a very good question. We had selected a new date for continuing the discussion regarding temporary signage, and with some additional direction from our city leadership, we've determined that it's probably going to be more productive to go back to Planning and Zoning Commission, and we're actually going to separate out the residential and commercial views of the temporary signage issue and address them separately. So you all should stay tuned. We will be bringing that back to you for additional discussion. The current composition of the Unified Development Code Committee includes 4 Planning and Zoning Commissioners and 3 council members. So it basically constitutes a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at any rate. So the direction that we received from legal was basically to bring it back to the commission so that we can further discuss each residential and commercial signage issue independently.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, as opposed to UDC?
As opposed to UDC.
Yeah, okay.
That separation's a great idea.
I think it'll work better for us.
Thank you.
Well, I guess hopefully on that we will have representation from the council so that we try to be in alignment with the council. Because it's somewhat of a subjective topic in terms of enforcement versus details, and, you know, it's going to be something that'll be a challenge to work through, as we've seen in the past, you know. Okay, anything else? Okay, meeting is adjourned.